NFL players that came from nothing. Number 1. Herschel Walker, RB, retired. Walker had to work hard to become a star athlete. When he was in high school, Walker was so heavily picked on for being overweight and having a speech impediment that he found himself eventually going through a rigorous training regimen to become one of the best athletes in the state. We're sure those kids regret not getting on his good side. Due to his tough childhood, Walker also developed multiple personality disorder, which is something he's still battling today. Since then, he's written a book on his disorder and hopes it will provide hope and inspiration for others. Number 2. Ray Lewis, LB, retired. Lewis has been a leader since high school. With his father's absence, he became the man of the house and took care of his 4 younger siblings. Eventually, Lewis dropped his birth name, Ray Jenkins, because of his father's absence and took on the last name Lewis. He became a star athlete at Kathleen High School and entered the University of Miami with a full scholarship, eventually making his way into the NFL and helping lead the Ravens to 2 Super Bowl victories. Number 3. Daunte Culpepper, QB, retired. Prior to throwing touchdown passes to Randy Moss as the Vikings quarterback, Culpepper was growing up under less than ideal conditions. He was born to a single mother who, while pregnant with Daunte, served time in a correctional institute. When Daunte was a day old, Emma Lewis Culpepper adopted and raised him along with 15 other children. He credits her for helping him grow into a well-educated athlete with direction and focus. Number 4. Knowshon Moreno, RB, Miami Dolphins. While growing up, Moreno lacked a structured family life, often bouncing around homeless shelters in Upper Manhattan. Born to 16-year-old Verashon McQueen and 17-year-old Freddie Moreno, Knowshon's grandmother finally gave the future running back a place he could call home. Eventually, that home became the NFL, but things became all too familiar and uncertain for the 12th overall pick when he was relegated to scout team's duties on the Broncos. He overcame those challenges to help his former team, the Broncos, make it to the Super Bowl. Number 5. Michael Vick, QB, New York Jets. Vick grew up in a part of town known more for drug and gang activity than developing future NFL stars. Despite the unstable area, Vick still grew up in a stable family environment, which makes it all the more surprising those outside his circle of trust brought him down. After he served jail time for dogfighting, Vick eventually returned to the field and played standout football for the Eagles. Number 6. Adrian Peterson, RB, Minnesota Vikings. Peterson grew up under rather hard circumstances. In recent interviews, he stated that he was relegated to the same punishments from his father that his children currently receive by him. When he was 13, police arrested his father for money laundering. 6 years prior, he witnessed his brother die after the latter was hit by a drunk driver. Despite the rough path, he eventually made it to the NFL as the 7th overall draft pick. Number 7. Terrell Owens, WR, free agent. When most think of Terrell Owens, they likely don't view him as a humble individual. If anything, most known to be outspoken and controversial. Yet, if they learned about his past, they'd realize he actually came from very humble beginnings. Born to a 17-year-old, Owens' overprotective grandmother raised him. She was so protective of Owens, he wasn't allowed to leave the yard to play with the other children. He'd often watch from the windows as others frolicked in the street. Owens' most devastating moment came when he found out that his father and sister were actually living across the street from him his entire life. Number 8. Tyrann Mathieu, FS, Arizona Cardinals. Mathieu faced hardship from the outset. A jury convicted his father of murder and his grandparents, aunt and uncle raised him. Aside from facing at-home problems, Mathieu also lost many of his possessions in Hurricane Katrina. The last of his struggles came at LSU when a tough final season caused him to fall swiftly down the 2013 draft boards. Number 9. Dez Bryant, WR, Dallas Cowboys. Bryant grew up in a dysfunctional home, better known for destroying lives and creating future NFL stars. When he was 8 years old, police arrested his mother for selling illegal substances. While in school, teachers often cited Bryant's random outbursts, and prior to entering the NFL, police arrested him for allegedly assaulting his mother. His life is a work in progress, but he's trending in a positive direction. Number 10. James Jones, WR, Oakland Raiders. Jones took a long, hard road to become the Raiders' #1 receiver. For the first 15 years of his life, he was in and out of homeless shelters and motels. His father and mother, or lack thereof, as well as many of his family, were heavy drug users. He found stability when he moved in with his grandmother. He then went to school at San Jose State before being drafted in the 3rd round and becoming a favorite of Aaron Rodgers. Number 11. Devonta Freeman, RB, Atlanta Falcons. Atlanta's 4th round pick in the 2014 draft grew up in Pork and Beans projects, which he considers to be the toughest neighborhood in Florida. You never know what you're going to get in Pork and Beans, said the running back. Freeman and his family often went to bed hungry. His mother worked in a warehouse for minimum wage, so Freeman had to work 3 jobs to help his family. That hard work paid off this past spring when the Falcons drafted him. Number 12. Demaryius Thomas, WR, Denver Broncos. Thomas came from a life of illegal substances and homelessness. While in 6th grade, police raided Thomas's home and arrested his mother and grandmother on federal charges of conspiracy to possess with intent to distribute illegal substances. From the time of their arrest until Thomas was in 10th grade, he stayed in 4 homes. His aunt finally took him in and raised him. He ended up going to Georgia Tech before being drafted in the 1st round by the Denver Broncos.